In a crazy way, I think I'm actually more excited to watch Oliveira versus Taporia than I am to watch Taporia versus Islam. I did want to see Islam versus Taporia, but I honestly thought that Islam would have just beat Ilia. Like everyone was like, oh no, I think that Ilia could win, or I think that Islam was a nightmare matchup for Taporia. I think he had literally every single skill needed to beat a guy like Ilia. Mostly from watching Ilia's fight with Yusuf Zalal. Yusuf had a similar frame to Islam, 5'10", 70-inch reach, or I think his Zalal's was a bit more. And he could wrestle with Ilia. You know, like Ilia was dominating with wrestling, but Zalal could survive. He could hold him off. He could get back up at times. And when he kind of got Ilia into the later rounds, Ilia kind of gassed out a little bit. If you watch that fight back a little bit, he looks kind of, it wasn't looking the best. He still won, of course, you know, but I saw that and I was like, okay, I can see that Ilia's kryptonite is for sure range. Definitely range. I think that he struggles a little bit with kind of finding his distance. He kind of bullies his way into the space that he needs, and he cuts off the cage, gets in the corner, and then he makes the most of those shots that he can land. He's an excellent boxer as well, not to say that his counter punching isn't good or whatever, but if there's anything he's going to struggle with, I think it's guys that can keep that range, keep their backs a little bit away from the fence, maybe stall it out with wrestling as well, get Ilia tired and kind of avoid, you know, big exchanges with him. And that was Islam to a T. But a guy like Oliveira also fits that mold as well. You know, similar frame to Zalal and Islam. A little bit taller actually. He's listed at 5'10". To me, Oliveira looks about 5'11". If you see him stand next to Gaethje or Ferguson, he looks the same height as them. Maybe even a smidge taller, but 5'11" for sure. I think maybe he had a little growth spurt. He was in the UFC since he was young, so makes sense. But yeah, fascinating match. I think for sure that Oliveira has the tools to keep Taporia away. You know, he has them teep kicks. He has them knees. Those knees are going to play a big role. Ilia he's kind of on the short side, likes to dip his head a little bit. You can throw a knee in there sometimes. You might time it right and mess him up. You know, we've seen that with his fight that he's up to 155. I can't remember the name of the guy that he knocked out. But that 6'1" guy that head kicked him. He kneed him in his face when Ilia was doing that little dipping kind of motion that he does and knocked his mouth guard on. You know, so Oliveira, even if he doesn't land the knee, he should just keep throwing that out there. Keep, you know, making him aware of that. If he tries to do that dip in and then come over with the right hand, it's going to be thinking, shit, is there going to be a knee in the way? Although that could also be a way Oliveira gets knocked out, leaving the knee up there a bit absent-mindedly, and Ilia comes over with the ball turned right. So you have to be careful with that. And that's the problem with Ilia, is that you have to be careful with this guy. The margin of error is low. The margin of error when you're fighting a guy like Ilia is low. Because all it takes is one punch. You circle out to the right as he throws that right or that left, and you're done. You're cooked, as the kids say. So definitely a dangerous fight for Oliveira. I feel more danger for Oliveira than I do for Ilia. Now, that being said, Oliveira hits hard. And he's been in firefights a lot. He's been in firefights with guys like Justin, and he won. Even though he got knocked down as well, he won. Islam knocked him down too, but he got, you know, subbed. And that's the problem. Oliveira gets knocked down too much. Can he afford to do that against Ilia? I don't think so, man. I really don't think so. And it's also a question of, will Ilia follow him to the ground if he knocks him down? Now that I think will be a mistake on Ilia's part. If he tries to follow Oliveira down, I think that is where Olive really has a chance to come back. Because if he can wrap up Ilia, keep him wrestling, keep him filling up those shoulders and arms with lactic acid. When he stands back up, he might not be throwing as hard. Now, if Ilia wants to keep him on the feet, that also might give Oliver some time to recover. But I think that Ilia is going to be a lot more of a kind of technical sniper when it comes to getting that finish over Oliver. But I think a good kind of comparison of how this fight might go would be Oliver's fight with Poirier. Poirier, in my opinion, is like a bigger version of Ilia. They don't fight the exact same way. I think Dustin tends to put people out with power for sure, but more with volume. And I think Ilia tends to be the one that puts you out more with power. He has some volume too, but it's like different ends of the spectrum. Dustin definitely hits hard. It's not saying he doesn't hit hard, but you know, we tend to see him swarming guys and knocking them out, you know, when their backs against the fence. He throws his famous combo. I think Ilia's a lot more of a thudding kind of cracking kind of punch guy, you know, from the hips kind of punch guy. I think he's a little bit more technical than Poirier as well. But he's smaller, and I just see like Ilia maybe getting clinched a bit, maybe having some struggles in the clinch, getting some knees to the body. He could definitely come over the top of some rights as well and knock Charles out. And see, that's why there's just so much danger for Charles in this fight. Like, every time I visualize a way Charles could win, I see Ilia knocking him out. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. I think Oliver's best bet is to employ those teeps early. Employ kicks, employ teeps, straight punches. Keep the fight. You have to stay in the center of the cage. Do not let him back you up. And shoot takedowns, man. Shoot takedowns. Like, take this guy down. Try to wrestle this guy. If I was Oliver, I'd be a full mixed martial artist in this fight. How we fought with Chandler. But more focus on the wrestling, because even Chandler was able to start cracking him in that fifth, and that's, you know, if Toptorio get you like that, it might be night. So Oliver needs to be careful. He can win this fight for sure. You know, he has a couple of different ways he can win. I believe he can sub to Poirier for sure. I believe he can knock Poirier out as well. It could easily be a firefight. Let's not forget, Charles is big. He's gonna have like what, 4-inch, maybe even 5-inch height advantage. It's gonna be similar height as Max was. Longer reach. Chin is not there like a guy like Max, but there's way more power. There's way more tools to employ on the feet. I do think it really is going to come down to, you know, the boxing, and that's where Poirier shines. But at the same time, you can't sleep on Oliver. He has them elbows, he has them knees, he has that clinch. Oliveira has, you know, more tools, but it's just that his chin, man, his chin. You know, if Max can take those shots, and I know people are saying, oh, but you know, that was Max coming down from 55. I do get that, but it's also Max Holloway, man. Like, that chin is still legendary. So for this fight, I have to go with Poirier. I wouldn't be surprised if Oliveira wins, but I think Poirier will have this one in the bag. I see too much danger for Charles, and I see something landing and him going down, and we have a new lightweight champion. So yeah, thank you all for listening.